You're listening to American Medicine Today, presented by the Bonati Spine Institute, featuring the internationally acclaimed inventor of the Bonati Spine procedures, Alfred Bonati, MD. Once again, here are Dr. Bonati and your host, Kimberly Brumell.
Hi, I'm Kimberly Brumell. My voice has gotten a lot deeper in the past couple of weeks. Actually, no, it's Ethan Kimberly, actually on vacation in Hawaii.
And also you grew around maybe 10 inches up.
Yeah, Kimberly's pretty short.
And I don't mean this in a bad way, but you've gotten incredibly less attractive.
Yeah, that too.
You're a jerk. Wow.
Well, I just think Kimberly's a beautiful woman, and you're...
I'm a beautiful man. Thank you very
you're not.
much. Oh, wow. Well, I'm not going to tell you who that guy is.
I'm not going to participate in this discussion.
We got Jeff Wagstaff, Dr. Alfred Bonati over here as well. Of course, the show, American Medicine Today, likes to highlight the work of Dr. Alfred Bonati, a world-renowned orthopedic surgeon. And what better way to do that than to let a patient tell their story of living a life in pain to their experience with Bonati through their recovery. And if you're experiencing neck, back, sciatic pain, or migraines, you want to give a call to the Institute, 855-267-0482, 855-267-0482, or visit Bonati.com. Today's show, great stuff. We're going to speak with Cindy Feasel. She's an NFL wife. She was married to former NFL player Grant Feasel. And you guys know CTEs and concussions and all of that stuff. Right. Obviously big in the news. And with football season back in full swing, we figured we would talk to Cindy. She wrote a book called After the Cheering Stops, an NFL wife's story of concussion, loss, and the faith that saw her through. It's a pretty amazing story. We'll talk to her. Then we'll speak with Eric Vance, who's a science journalist and author of Suggestible You, The Curious Science of Your Brain's Ability to Deceive, Transform, and Heal. A lot about the placebo effect and how you can basically tell yourself what you want, and that becomes reality. It's pretty interesting stuff. Then we'll find out what's new in American Medicine Today. But up first,
in today's Back to Life segment, we will talk to a patient of the Bonati Spine Institute who went from living a life that was restricted by pain and discomfort through their journey of finding the Bonati Spine Institute and are now living pain-free.
Joining us on the program right now from Newport Richey, Florida, we have Ellen Lee. How you doing, Ellen?
Good. How are you?
I am doing well. So we want to hear your story. Your pain began back in 1987 after an accident. Can you tell us what happened?
Yeah, I was in a car accident which was rear-ended, so I had a whiplash. And originally, I didn't think anything was wrong. I was much younger, and within a couple years is when I started having pain. And after many attempts of going to the chiropractor, I just thought, it was just something. I didn't relate it to the accident until much later when I realized that that's why I was having the pain. And I guess after so many years and, attempting chiropractic care, getting injections, getting all kinds of anything that I could think of that wasn't, anything invasive. I didn't never consider surgery just because the thought of surgery in my neck, it scared me, and then fast forward many years later, I started thinking, this is how I'm going to live, is being in pain.
Well, Ellen, actually, let's not fast forward. Let's pause for a second. Describe that pain, because Dr. Bonati has talked about whiplash before and how it's something that, as you mentioned, sometimes people don't even, experience pain right away. Describe your pain and what that felt like.
Yeah, well, like in the beginning, it was just, you had a few headaches and, you just kind of contributed to whatever maybe you were doing that day. And then as the pain got worse, as I got older, I would have pain that went from my neck out to my shoulder, up the side of my head, up above my ear. I mean, it was bad. It was more so on the right side, but it was to the point that it's affecting everything in my life. So the pain, would be relieved temporarily if I would go for, I even got traction, all kinds of different things. But that pain would always come back.
Ellen, what led you to seek out treatment, and how did you eventually find the Bonati Spine Institute?
Well, I had heard, I'd actually had a surgery done in 2013 at a different doctor's office, but I had fusion because my vertebrae were starting to fuse together. And then after about a few months, I started having kind of the same type of pain again. And I had heard of Bonati. I'm fortunate enough that I live in the area. I don't live far away. I know that's something that the Bonati Institute, every patient, they ask, where are you staying? And I'm fortunate enough that I'm close. So that's kind of how I heard about it, and I had driven by, and I thought, I can't keep doing this. Even after having fusion, I was still having some type of pain. So that was when I decided I wanted to see if they could, help me, and maybe I wouldn't be in this pain anymore, and I could finally be free of going to chiropractors and getting injections and any of the other things that I've been doing for so many years.
Yeah, and Ellen, we talk about it all the time, how fusion surgery should basically never be an option. There's very, very small percentage of times where it is necessary. Most of the time, completely unnecessary. The failure rate of them is ridiculously astronomical. Bonati and his team of surgeons spend a lot of their time fixing the mistakes that other people did with fusions because they're not effective, which sounds to be the case with you. You didn't seem to really experience much relief of your pain at all. In fact, it came back after having a fusion surgery. So,
right.
So let's jump into it. You walk into the Bonati Spine Institute. How was that experience? What was the consultation like?
I've got to say, I've been to many places over the years, obviously, from the years of doctor appointments. I've never had any experience like there, because they really did, from the person that greets you at the door to the people that talk to you about finance. It doesn't matter who you were talking to. Everyone was just professional and seemed to care what you were there for.
Ellen, when you came in for the initial evaluation, normally we go to a doctor's office, they sit you down and ask you everything that's wrong. Was it any different at Bonati? How was that evaluation process handled?
Well, I liked it that everything was done in one day. As far as that part, I was told when I decided to make the call to say I need to come in, they explained everything and how long I would be there. So I knew to prepare of how long I would be there, so that was fine. And I knew that I would get the MRIs that day. I knew that I would speak to the doctor that day and that they would read them that day, that I wasn't going to have to, make the appointment, then have a review, and then come back for everything was done in one day. And and that was exactly everything you would do in maybe 3 appointments with another doctor.
Well, that's the beauty of the Bonati Spine Institute as well, is that everything is in-house. So,
Yes.
it's a one-stop shop. So, obviously, you were evaluated. They gave you sort of a diagnosis, a prognosis for what they were going to do, and you go into the OR for your procedure. Walk us through that. What was that experience like?
Well, the first, my husband was there with me, and they did let us know that if he wanted to be, he could be in there with me. Because obviously if I'm partially asleep and everything, they explained to me from the moment I got into the surgery part, the ladies that were in there explained to me where I was going next. And then when I was about to go to surgery, you walk to, usually, any surgery you have, you're on a gurney and then you're, taken there, but you got to walk to the OR, and they explained in detail what was going to happen, and I spoke with the anesthesiologist, and so being able to talk to each person that was going to deal with my case, and then knowing that my husband could be there too, it brought more comfort levels for me.
Of course, yeah.
Ellen, you made a great point, too. You said that you were partially awake. So for those that are following along, listening at home, Dr. Bonati uses something called conscious IV sedation. So you are relaxed at ease but you're still awake. So did you watch your surgery?
I remember the because I did have a few procedures. The first one, when I was kind of waking back up, there was, I believe they explained to me, it was either an iPad or a laptop, I don't recall, but that I could actually see what they were doing. And I didn't feel the pain except for what I needed to feel so that they knew they were in the right place. So I remember that, and, you know, telling people that, they're like, wait, you're awake? I'm like, well, you're partially awake, but it wasn't like a scary, like, oh, you're going to be awake, because I was asleep for the initial part until they wanted me to be awake. And that each time that I had that procedure and I was partially awake, it wasn't anything scary. It was just, like you said, like just for them to know where they were at and they were in the right place, that I was in pain.
Yeah, it's very important, obviously, to be able to speak back and forth with the doctor so they can pinpoint exactly where the cause of your pain is. Now, in other more traditional types of spinal surgery, you're completely under. So the doctor, you know, they have an idea, I guess, where it would be, but you don't know if they got it until you wake up. That's not the way Bonati does things with his exclusive patented procedures. We are almost out of time, Ellen, so bring us up to today. How you feeling? Are you pain-free? How was your recovery?
My recovery each time, it's been great. I've had some residual pain, but I've went back in and it's nothing like I had before. And I'm still feel like I'm on the mend because I did have procedures, and I think my body was so used to doing what it did before was reacting, and now it's not like it used to be. So right now I feel like anybody that wanted to go to Bonati, I would have nothing but positive. They need to go. They need to find out if that's going to work for them, because I waited too long. I should have went years ago, and I probably wouldn't have been in pain as many years as I was.
You know, Alan, that's something that we hear from so many patients, that they suffered for literally years. So that's great advice. And we certainly want to thank you for joining us today, sharing your story, and we want to wish you continued good health.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Ellen. Have a good weekend.
All right, you too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. If you are like Ellen and you are experiencing pain, from migraines to neck pain, back pain, all kinds of stuff, sciatica, check out Bonati.com. First of all, you can check out some of the different symptoms, things that they treat. Yeah, do your homework. Don't just take our word for it. And every patient that we speak with, they've typically done their homework. They've even tried other places, this and that. Well, Bonati is the place that you want to be. You can also give them a call at 855-267-0482, 855-267-0482, and again, encourage you to visit Bonati.com. Coming up, we're going to speak with an NFL wife, Cindy Feasel, about her husband Grant. Played in the NFL, I think, for about 10 or 11 seasons, eventually passed away, and they think it was partially due to all of the head strikes and head trauma due to concussions that he had. So we'll get into that next on American Medicine Today.
Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonati created, perfected, and patented the Bonati Spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonati invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonati Spine procedures, they consistently reflect 98.75% patient satisfaction. 50,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Over half our patients have suffered from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonati succeeds where others fail.
You're listening to American Medicine Today, presented by the Bonati Spine Institute, featuring the internationally acclaimed inventor of the Bonati Spine procedures, Alfred Bonati, MD. Once again, here are Dr. Bonati and your host, Kimberly Bermel.
And once again, no, Kimberly Bermel is not here. She is in Hawaii on vacation, but we'll check in with her in a little bit. My name is Ethan Euchre. I have Mr. Jeff Wagstaff here.
Ethan, Doc, thanks for having me.
Dr. Alfred Bonati, orthopedic surgeon to the stars. How you doing, Doc? He's just
What?
waving.
Which stars?
I don't know.
The
I'm
ones
sure
that they lead the country?
yeah, no, not the ones
Canada,
that
the
are
Canada Express.
the ones that are going to Canada because Trump was elected. No. Hey, listen, with football season in full swing, we figured we'd revisit the topic of concussions, chronic brain trauma, which has been known to plague football players who take repeated blows to the head. And joining us right now is Cindy Feasel. I hope I'm saying that right. Her husband.
Yes.
Excellent. See, I try. Her husband, former NFL lineman Grant Feasel, was found to have CTE after his death. She's chronicled their story in her new book, After the Cheering Stops, an NFL wife's story of concussions, loss, and the faith that saw her through. Thanks for joining us, Cindy.
Thank you.
Now, obviously, tell us all about your husband, Grant, your guys' relationship, his career. Get us started.
Okay. Well, Grant and I met in college, and he was not only athletic, but he was smart. He graduated with highest honors, and he was accepted into every dental school and medical school in the state of Texas. So he wasn't just an athlete. He was, a smart athlete as well, and got an opportunity because he was drafted in 1983 to play for the Baltimore then Colts. So he went to Baltimore and ended up playing for 11 seasons. At the end of his career, started noticing that, he'd had a lot of injuries, knee, a staph infection in one of the knees. And so just started noticing at the end of the career that, some pills, unidentified, started coming in, and he started drinking. And it wasn't that he didn't ever drink before, but we just didn't keep alcohol in the home, and he was bringing it in when he came in with him at the end of the day, which, again, wasn't that abnormal, yet he was hiding it more or less.
Well, and Cindy, do you think that is just because of the pain he was in, nagging injuries, things like that? I know a lot of professional athletes turn to painkillers, other illegal drugs, just to deal with the grueling nagging injuries that they have.
I do think so. I wish, when I look back on it, he'd gotten some surgeries during his lifetime. He needed 2 knee replacements. He did not do. He needed a lot of stuff done. He had aches in his back, aches in his neck, would speak of a burning sensation going up and down the back of his neck quite a bit. Just had a lot of problems just coping, with just everyday life. He would turn his head in the car to back out of a parking place, and he would say it would hurt his neck. And, it was always throwing his neck into a spasm or his back into a spasm. So, yes, he had a lot of help.
Cindy, Grant was a lineman, was he not?
Yes. He was a center.
So he's down there in the trenches. I mean,
banging it out.
There's a lot of banging going on with those boys.
Yes. A lot of head-to-helmet collisions. And did I ever dream that the brain was as soft as Jell-O? I had no clue until I started really looking at the symptoms of CTE and seeing that the brain was actually as soft as it was. I thought it was as hard as a football. So, wow.
Now, Cindy,
was I ever surprised?
We see in the NFL and certainly NHL that we follow here in Tampa as well, that there's a lot of concussion protocol and a lot of attention paid to this now, but not so much when Grant paid.
No. Grant talked about having a concussion in college. We were married our senior year. He spoke of a concussion once that year, and I remember him saying he had smelling salts, and I was thinking, I didn't really even question it. I just assumed that's what they did when you got a concussion. I had known of other people having serious concussions, but his seemed to be fine. He went right back in and played. Same in the NFL. He spoke of a few, one particular that was really serious, saying that everything went black and he had to be helped over to the sidelines and missed a little bit of a series, but then went back in. And so, there was I don't remember a protocol.
Well, I hear interviews with NFL players all the time where they had a crazy concussion.
Right.
They take a massive hit. They come out for a play.
They go right back.
Yep.
The coach puts them right back in, and then in, say, the post-game press conference, reporters are asking them questions. They don't even remember. Say it happened in the first quarter, they don't remember the rest of the game. There's something wrong with that. I mean, there's got to be some regulations put into effect. Now, you actually have a few minutes left here, Cindy. What sort of wrap up Grant's story and, unfortunately, his passing and how you became an advocate for CTE?
Yes. I became an advocate for CTE when I realized what all the symptoms were. I looked it up on the Mayo Clinic and was stunned and surprised that our life had really fallen, our stories all along the way, into all of the different symptoms of CTE. That's why I decided, hey, there's something here for me to talk about, tell other people about, hopefully prevent, if I can prevent one person from making the same mistakes that we made. We had no idea that repetitive blows to the head caused degenerative brain disease. Grant was a smart person. He loved me. We had 3 children. He would have never continued to play for as many years as he did, having any idea that the longer you play, the more at risk you are. He loved us more than he loved football, so he wouldn't have done it if he'd known. So I'm saying, please, parents, look at your school policies. See what's going on in your child's school or wherever you're signing your child up for football. Is there a waiver out there that says these are the risks that you're taking, that it could have lifetime circumstances on your child's life? Look at what's going on. Please educate yourself, and don't just think because football is a great sport where your child could possibly get a scholarship to go to college that it's a good deal to put your kid in it. I'm also saying that there's a lot of other sports out there in the world that have head-banging issues as well. Lacrosse, hockey, boxing, wrestling, all sorts of sports that are high-impact sports. Please, please take consideration of your child's head. So important. Again, the brain is like Jell-O. Take care of your child, please. I'm just saying, please educate yourself. At least look at the research.
I agree. Well said, Cindy. I'm always on the fence when it comes to this. Not necessarily just concussions, but whether parents should put their kids in sports and whatnot. I'm a huge proponent of putting children in sports. Some of my greatest memories from my childhood were playing sports. I played football for 6 years.
I hear you.
So there's a lot to be had, a lot to memories to be made, but you also have to do it safe. And somebody like your husband who did it for probably 20 years, if you take into account his college and his high school career.
Exactly. And just at least look at what the research is saying. I just think so many people don't even think about it, hadn't even heard about it, don't even think CTE is a real disease. It is, and it's sport-related. So please, please, I'm begging people to just educate themselves. Dr. Daniel Amen wrote the afterword to my book. I'm saying search brain injury and concussions on his website at theamenclinics.com. Look up the Mayo Clinic, the CDC Heads Up website. These are great resources for parents. Please look.
Great information. Cindy Feasel, pick up her book, After the Cheering Stops, an NFL wife's story of concussion, loss, and the faith that saw her through. We appreciate you joining us here on American Medicine Today.
Thank you so much for having me. Have a blessed day.
You too. Thanks, Cindy. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Good stuff. Very interesting topic. Another interesting topic will be coming up after the break, talking to Eric Vance. Wrote a book called Suggestible You, all about how what you think can control what you feel. It's sort of like the placebo effect. Very interesting stuff. And again, if you or someone you know is suffering from back, neck, sciatic pain, migraines, and you want to get it checked out for free, get your MRIs looked at, give a call to the Bonati Spine Institute, 855-267-0482, 855-267-0482. Can't remember that number? Bonati.com. Very simple. We'll be back in a few. It's American Medicine Today.
Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonati created, perfected, and patented the Bonati Spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonati invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonati Spine procedures, they consistently reflect 98.75% patient satisfaction. 50,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Over half our patients have suffered from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonati succeeds where others fail.
You're listening to American Medicine Today, presented by the Bonati Spine Institute, featuring the internationally acclaimed inventor of the Bonati Spine procedures, Alfred Bonati, MD. Once again, here are Dr. Bonati and your host, Kimberly Brumell.
Thanks for listening to American Medicine Today. I am joined by Ethan Euchre.
Happy to be here.
And Jeff Wagstaff.
Hey, Kimberly. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. And joining us right now is Eric Vance, award-winning science writer and author of Suggestible You, the curious science of your brain's ability to deceive, transform, and heal. Thanks for being here, Eric.
Well, thanks for having me, Kimberly.
Absolutely.
Now, Eric, your book talks about how what you believe can have actual legitimate effects on your health? Explain that.
Well, there's a lot of ways that this can happen, but probably the most well-known is the placebo effect.
Okay.
When people talk about placebos, you're talking about belief, maybe not belief like I believe the Cubs will win the World Series, more like I believe that when I drop a ball, it'll hit the ground. And those beliefs can actually transform into chemical changes in your brain, and actually, in some cases, your brain can actually release morphine-like drugs that actually make you feel less pain.
Yeah, I was reading also just in preparation for this interview that according to the CDC, it says in many drug trials, more than half of the people getting the placebo feel better. That's pretty crazy. So they're just getting a sugar pill or a saline shot or
mind over matter.
Total mind over matter. And
Exactly. This is actually a huge problem in the drug field. I'm actually working on a story right now about this, where I ran across a study that had a 70% response rate. And what kind of drug can outperform 70%? I mean, if 70% of your placebo responders are feeling better, how will you ever know if your drug works? And it's a huge problem, and one that, especially, what's most interesting about it is, especially in certain conditions like pain, depression, anxiety, irritable bowel syndrome, and Parkinson's, this can be a massive hurdle to creating new drugs.
Okay. But this wouldn't, I mean, a placebo effect, I don't think would work as far as something like cancer.
Well, cancer is a tricky one. Placebos can be very effective against the symptoms of cancer, but when it comes to the removal of a tumor, you're right. This is placebos have their limits, and that's what makes them so interesting. Is that they're very effective in some conditions, and not at all in others. Okay. Unfortunately, that doesn't stop people from trying to create placebos and market them for cancer patients. But that's a whole other story.
Well, I've actually brought this up before, Kimberly, on the show, that I remember reading years ago, and it was one of these mind over matter sort of studies where this person was taking meditation and almost like hypnotherapy, where the therapist was suggesting things, which goes along with your book, Suggestible You, Eric. And what they did was the person had tumors, had cancer, and sort of under hypnosis or meditation, he was asked to think of his T cells, the white blood cells, as knights, like knights in shining armor. And that the tumor and the cancer was a dragon, and that his knights in shining armor were slaying the dragon. I mean, just all crazy new agey stuff. His tumor shrank and disappeared within a matter of months with no drugs. This was literally, and of course this could be a completely isolated incident, but it always stuck in my head. I thought, holy cow, what a great example of mind over matter.
Yes.
I ran into this kind of stuff a lot. I have a whole chapter on hypnosis. Hypnosis is probably, as near as we can tell, is a different phenomenon. It's a different mechanism in the body. We're not 100% sure, but it looks like when you give someone who's having a placebo response, say naloxone, which is sort of an anti-morphine drug, the placebo response goes away, disappears for pain. And if you do that for someone who's having hypnosis, it doesn't. So there's obviously something going on with hypnosis that's different from placebo. But when it comes to something like cancer, if you take larger groups, it doesn't work out, or at least we don't know the specifics in order to make it work. It really it's really one of those things where there is such a thing as spontaneous regression in cancer, and if hypnosis can address the tumor, boy, we sure haven't figured out how that would work.
Okay, and how does brain mapping, how does that technology come into play?
Well, brain mapping, that's really, for a lot of these things, has really brought some of these ideas, or these fluffy ideas that we had many years ago about sort of mind over matter and the importance of belief. That's really brought it into the real, sort of the real tangible world of medicine, which is we can now watch the placebo effect happening. We can see the drugs, we can see the brain regions lighting up. The drugs that are being released by the brain itself are called endogenous drugs, and it was real before, but now we can sort of say it's really real. You can really see it. The same thing with hypnosis. We're starting to get a handle on some of the brain processes involved, and it's really changed the map, not only for how we see something like placebos, but also for the people studying it. There's been a revolution in young neuroscientists coming in and looking at this field and becoming interested with explaining some of these phenomena.
And Eric, you talk about something called placebo trends. What are those all about?
Oh, well, I assume you're talking about like alternative medicine or different ways that something can sort of resonate with you. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, some of the techniques and things that are trending.
Well,
with placebos.
Obviously, placebos aren't just in science. We see them all around us every day. And for this book, I spent a lot of time talking to. I talked to witch doctors.
Yeah, didn't you get cursed by a witch doctor or something in your research for this book?
I did get cursed by a witch doctor in chapter on nocebos, which is the anti-placebo. I paid him actually to put a curse on me for a week and a half.
Are you still cursed?
No, I had him, just to be sure, I had him lift the curse.
Okay. What did you ask him to curse you with, though? That's what I want to know. I'd be afraid of that one.
Well, we have this, curses are not, this is more art than science. So, he said he couldn't control the power that was going to affect me. But, he said, when you unleash evil spirits, they do what they want. And I was more interested in how it made me feel, like how I would affect myself.
And how did it?
Yeah.
Well, what was interesting is, you'll have to read the book to get the whole story, but my wife actually had a complication with her pregnancy during that week. And it ended up being nothing, and it was fine. But what was interesting is how I responded. I immediately thought of the curse. I immediately became a wreck over what I had done to the child. Now, it was no more real then than it would have been before. But that's really the power of superstition and curses is their power to affect what you believe is happening in your own narrative. And narrative is really important for all of these things. The narrative we tell ourselves really establishes how these beliefs affect our body. And I did a number on my own narrative.
Eric, based on your research and the information that we've seen here, if you truly believed in that witch doctor's ability to put the curse or the voodoo on you, then I believe very much so in the power of your brain and positive thinking. If you believe that he could do it, he could do it.
Would have been like Thinner, the Stephen King novel. He would have lost a bunch of weight, withered away, and died.
The science that I've found suggests maybe. One of the most interesting questions in all of this is, are there differences between people, maybe genetic differences, between how people incorporate these beliefs into their body? There may be people out there who simply can't affect their body with belief. And there may be people who have quick access to this. And this is being opened up right now in some really exciting science. So as far as we know, I'm kind of in the middle of the few genes that we have. So but there are a lot of anecdotal stories about people dying while being cursed, probably from, these sort of stress responses, heart problems when people thought that evil magic was affecting them. It hasn't really been studied in a sort of a systematic way. But that's not out of the realm of possibility.
Okay, but my question is, as soon as you heard this witch doctor tell you he could put this thing into effect, but he couldn't really control it, did you really believe he was going to be able to get rid of it? I mean, that would have been in the back of my mind, like, wait a minute, you can't control it. Do not curse me.
I should say I don't believe in curses. I didn't believe in curses then. So I wasn't worried about it. What I was interested in seeing is, you can say that all you want, but as you guys are demonstrating, it's still in the back of your head. It's still nagging at you, and that's what I was interested in. Was not if he told me he released the curse, I would believe him because I don't know anything about curses. But I was interested in what I did to myself.
The power of suggestion.
Yeah, and the power of my own suggestion. And, for all I know, you don't actually have to be there for a curse to be put on you. So for all I know, he didn't even put a curse on me. He could have just told me that he had done it.
What'd you pay him for that?
I wasn't there. He burned your name in a black candle. And but I was interested in what that did for me.
Sure.
So when he told me it was lifted, I just believed him, of course.
All right.
Well, any big takeaways from the book for our listeners?
Well, the biggest one, I think, is, look, we are all suggestible. Every one of us, whether it's placebos or, some form of hypnosis, this affects all of us. And I think a lot of people assume that this is sort of a weakness, like you're gullible in some way, but in fact, this is actually a really good thing. And if you can access this in any way in your life, it can be a very powerful part of your health and your daily well-being.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Eric Vance, award-winning science writer and author of Suggestible You, the curious science of your brain's ability to not only deceive, transform, and heal.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
Yes,
Appreciate
thank
it, Eric.
you.
Have a good one.
All right, you too.
Bye-bye.
I love that. The power of the mind can change everything.
Yeah. Well, it's just like daily affirmations on SNL with Stuart,
Yes.
Stuart Smalley, whatever.
I'm good enough. I'm smart enough. And gosh darn it, people like me. Yes.
So you tell yourself that every day, and you start to feel better about yourself.
All right.
If you're suggestible, that is.
I believe it. All right. Make sure you stay tuned because coming up after the break, you'll hear more American Medicine Today.
Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonati created, perfected, and patented the Bonati Spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonati invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonati Spine procedures, they consistently reflect 98.75% patient satisfaction. 50,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Over half our patients have suffered from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonati succeeds where others fail.
Bonati MD. Once again, here are Dr. Bonati and your host, Kimberly Brumell.
Thanks for listening to American Medicine Today. I am Ethan Euchre. I am not Kimberly Brumell, but we're going to talk to her. She's actually on vacation in Hawaii. We have Mr. Jeff Wagstaff standing by. How you doing, Jeff?
Good to see you, Ethan. Doc, thanks for having me.
Doc, how are you?
Okay, good to see you.
All right, let's check in with someone who insisted on being a part of the program, even though they're supposed to be on vacation, Miss Kimberly Brumell.
Yep.
How you doing?
Okay, I'm doing well and calling in at what time is it here? Like 8:20 a.m.
It's very early. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very, very early.
A hula edition of American Medicine
Yes.
Today.
Yes.
Aloha, Kim.
Well, I haven't taken those lessons yet. Maybe later today.
Excellent. Well,
But we're still excited because Donald Trump, trumped everyone and became our president of the United States.
see what she did there? Yeah, and actually,
Uh-huh.
Doc, I mean, you know, we're a week removed from the election. Has the excitement died down at all? You still want to talk about what we can expect to see in a Trump's presidency?
No, the excitement didn't die
It just
yet.
began.
The excitement is just growing higher and higher.
You know, I'm just so glad, though, that Dr. Bonati and Kimberly, you guys could see the light and jump on the bandwagon with Ethan and I and support Mr. Trump.
While we laughed at you for a year and a half.
We really saw the light.
You did. You did.
did.
And I bow to your collective knowledge here. So what do you think we're going to see? As they keep sort of conjecturing and projecting, what are the first 100 days of Trump's presidency
Well,
going to bring
I
us?
really think one of the things that he has is loyalty for America.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that loyalty for America is so important because nothing in this country had a loyalty for America in the last 20 years. Since probably Reagan till now, everybody was feeding their own pockets and her own desires, but they were not really protecting America.
Well, that's the beauty of Trump. That's the one thing. Well, I mean, there's a few things I like about Trump. Don't get me wrong, but I love the fact that he's not a politician. So he's not in anybody's pocket. He doesn't owe anything to lobbyists. You know, he's a self-made man. He's not a politician. However, devil's advocate, that is his biggest weakness. To some people, I'm saying
It
to
was a
some
perceived
people,
weakness.
if you ask some
he
people,
knows,
that's a weakness.
He knows the loopholes. Here's the thing. He was an astute businessman, and he knows the loopholes that are out there. He knows how to close them or how to make business come back. So that's where the positives are.
Well,
That's where his power is. And he surrounds himself with great advisors. So maybe even if he 100% doesn't know, surely one of his top advisors do.
well,
And that's why he's so powerful.
I believe that a businessman who was so successful in America and who really has such a clear mind of what the country needs was never produced in the country probably for a century, because everybody that we have was a politician or a product of politics. So this man is just an individual who doesn't need to be in politics, who doesn't need the money, who has no ties to anybody, and who really is a patriot. He loves the country who gave them the opportunity to be what it is. And if you really analyze the man, he is a middle class millionaire or billionaire, because his product is working with his father in construction. Nothing more middle class than the construction worker. And his communication is with the construction workers. And even if the guy is an elite economically, he is a middle class socially, because he feels really the necessity of the worker. He understands the worker. He sees the necessity of the worker. And this is what the Democrats totally misread on this man. And because of that, they behave like two groups, the elite group and the slave group, the uneducated group. They keep talking about how educated the middle class Democrats are. No, they are not. They're a bunch of idiots that they are irresponsible with society, irresponsible with the government, and the people who really cater to them are the people who come in from other countries that they don't speak the language, okay? People who are being poured here with the only intention to vote so the Democrats will remain in power. Right. All these things are such a dirty tricks to the country. And it's amazing to see.
Part of the thing,
What's that,
part
Kimberly?
of the thing, though, Doc, is that they've indoctrinated the children. They start in the grade schools, and then when they get into colleges, they're being taught by the likes of Bill Ayers.
But I was
when
talking.
When they've rewritten history to make people hate conservatives, hate Republicans, and have a hate for America, that's where the problem stems from.
But you know something, Kimberly? I really think one of the major products of a irresponsible human being in the country is because there are three elements. One, you need to communicate. If you don't have language, you cannot communicate, you cannot be educated. Correct. The other thing is, if you are not a patriotic, if you don't love your country, don't you really respect your flag, your national anthem, your elderly, then you are not part of this country either. Right. So one of the problems that happen in this country is that they remove the draft, the military draft. That is what this country did in the past. They brought two types of people. The middle class and educated that create problems, they put them on the draft. And those people, they become suddenly educated, suddenly guided right, and they respect the country, they respect the flag, they respect the national anthem, they become a strong type of an individual. Disciplined, as you keep saying, discipline, that's where they become. Individual with discipline. Look at the people who's coming from Iraq and Iran, and you talk to these people, that they're amazing people. And it's because if you really go to the backgrounds before they went to these wars, or before they went, they were just another Democrat lost around there.
Well, most of my friends that went in the military, myself included, I almost went into the military. I didn't pass the physical heart murmur, long story, but
now I understand you.
Well, we were punk kids, we had nothing to do, nowhere to go. Hey, let's join the military. But it gives them direction. Hey, Kimberly, I know you're in Hawaii. Stick around for our next segment, will you? Because we're out of time.
Sure will. I'll be hanging.
All right, you stand by. We will continue that this whole discussion coming up next. We got to say goodbye to our affiliate, or actually our flagship station, WFLA, here in Tampa. But all the affiliates, stick around. More to come on American Medicine Today.
Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonati created, perfected, and patented the Bonati Spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonati invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonati Spine procedures, they consistently reflect 98.75% patient satisfaction. 50,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Over half our patients have suffered from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonati succeeds where others fail.
You're listening to American Medicine Today, presented by the Bonati Spine Institute, featuring the internationally acclaimed inventor of the Bonati Spine procedures, Alfred Bonati, MD. Once again, here are Dr. Bonati and your host, Kimberly Bermel.
Thank you for listening to American Medicine Today. No, I am not Kimberly Bermel. I am Ethan Euchre, joined by Mr. Jeff Wagstaff.
Yes, I am.
And world-renowned orthopedic surgeon, Dr. Alfred Bonati. How you doing, Doc?
Hi.
And speaking of Kimberly Bermel, that one is in, what is Hawaii? Like the Aloha State, that's what it's called. She's hanging out in the Aloha State. How's it going, Kimberly?
Yeah. Talking to you live from Lanai. How about that?
Wow. How's the weather?
Yeah. It's beautiful. I'm swinging on a hammock out here.
A hurricane is coming.
I think it's a typhoon,
It'll be a
right?
typhoon on
It'll be
that
a
side.
typhoon in the Pacific, but you get the idea.
You know, you want to know something, though?
No, we don't.
As I'm here, we do, because guess what? Everyone's protesting everywhere else, and they're burning down our votes. And here
Nothing.
in Hawaii, it is so peaceful, so beautiful. People haven't lost their minds. They're not depressed.
Did Trump win Hawaii? Does anybody know? I'm guessing probably not.
No, he lost.
It's a pretty...
I don't think he did, but guess what?
It's a
You don't see
socialistic
the
place.
pouting.
That's why they're so
But you
quiet.
there's no pouting.
Nobody's
there's
there.
No crying. There's no
Everybody's
despair.
migrating.
There's nobody protesting in Hawaii or Florida because it's simply too beautiful to protest.
That's true.
And guess what? I think I actually see a rainbow.
Wow, look at that. It's a promise of a new day to make America great
is.
again.
Somewhere.
Are you going to
Delivered
walk
so
to the
far,
end of the rainbow?
I'll find my pot of gold.
I was going to say, if you bring me anything back from Hawaii, I'll take that little pot of gold at the end of the rainbow.
That would be nice.
Oh, Kimberly, I'm sorry, but I drove your car last night and I crashed it.
Oh, well, that's okay. I'm sure the replacement vehicle will be equally as wonderful.
Just as nice. Yeah.
I don't
Doc,
think
you're
so. Maybe a Kia.
Doc, here's the amazing thing.
Maybe,
People don't
there
know.
you go.
Doc is an incredible surgeon. But he has been known to
Getting a few fender benders?
a couple fender benders, huh, Doc?
No comment.
I've been urging him to take my truck. You want to borrow my truck? Take it for the weekend.
You just roll over people.
I don't understand this. I never had an accident. Is Kimberly the one who has the accidents?
Kimberly does
no.
too. That's for sure. But wasn't it you, Doc, that wrecked one of the reason Kimberly has the car she has now? Didn't you wreck it? I don't think it was your fault,
Yep.
but didn't you get in an
No,
accident?
she gave me a car, never told me that it didn't have brakes.
Oh,
trying to
that's
kill
so
you.
not true.
Yeah. She was trying to kill you, Doc.
And she goes, I'm telling
that's
you,
okay.
I told you to don't drive this car. And I say, you didn't tell me that you have a car without brakes.
Oh, it was funny. It was going to be repaired, and he didn't want to be in the nice car, so he took mine.
Now I know why every time that she
And-
tried to reach the red light,
So
open the door and put her heels down.
It's like the Flintstone car. That's what.
Hold on, though. So Doc was being
Exactly.
a gentleman.
Snowmobile.
If your car was unsafe, he was being a gentleman and driving your car to keep you safe.
To take the
I
risk.
told him. I said,
No,
"You
I
won't
don't
know
think
how
so.
mine
That was
handles
not a
if
reason.
you're used to all the safety features. Yeah.
That's something else.
But it wasn't his fault. I do have to say that somebody else blew through a stop sign and a red light, and
That's true.
yep.
And
all
I had
of
a
a sudden-
concussion and a whiplash and a broken knee and
snoring.
and from that time on I snore.
Dr. Bonati, don't worry about it. I know a guy that can help you.
Yeah. His name is Dr.
No, I
Alfred
don't think
Bonati.
so.
Yeah. So listen, guys, wrapping up the show here, we definitely have some time to chat about this. I know Doc wanted to continue talking about the Trump victory. Anything that hasn't been said, although, you know what, I had a thought. You kept bringing up your solution to the protesting and this and that was to reinstitute the draft, right, Doc?
Absolutely. It's just an incredible benefit for these totally uneducated, unprepared individuals that they are disturbing the peace. If you grab all these people and put them on some type of a military training, and you are going to bring individuals to society that are going to be helpful, and they're going to be proud, and they're going to do good things. If you don't, you're going to have all these type of hippie, crappy individuals that they walk around there dirty, without home, and
barefoot,
with food stamps and
smelling like
Smoking
weed.
smoking weed and all this garbage.
Wearing tie-dye.
Well,
Exactly.
listen. I bring it up again because I had a thought during our last break after you talked about it last, and I'm glad you mentioned hippies because that's part of it. Back in the 60s during Vietnam, there was a draft.
Yes.
Right? But there were still tons and tons of protesting because people who were in college, am I right? If you were in college at the time, you didn't have to. You were excluded from the draft.
A lot of people went to
Exactly.
college.
And that's the people who, the same thing that's happening now, is that people who really doesn't have responsibility is the people who create the problem. Now, if you draft everybody, then you will go, it's not going to be a problem.
Well, I think what you want to say and what you want instituted isn't necessarily a draft. It's kind of like what they have in Israel, where it's a mandatory
Exactly.
military service.
Yes.
Everyone has to
Yes,
serve at least
yes.
1 year
Women,
or whatever.
Women or men, they go and they serve on the military, and you are going to change totally the way and the perception of the country, the respect for the country, the respect for the elderly, the respect for education, the respect for the children, all this garbage that is happening today in the country. I mean, are you thinking there's going to be, it's okay to have one bathroom for everybody? No. In the military, you don't have that. You need to have a type of a responsibility of your actions. And if you do that, then when you go in society, you behave with respect. And the other thing that we need to do is we need to protect our vets. When the vets come to the country, they need to be protected because these people not only serve to the country, but at the same time they have injuries that they need to be attended to. And instead to do that, all this behavior of irresponsibility is being carried in every level of the politics.
You brought up an excellent point, Ethan. When you mention Israel, we could learn a lot from the public service that every Israeli performs. And also, we could learn a lot from the Israelis on how they treat their veterans. They don't have these issues. And as you were speaking, I realized something. We live here in an area that's not under attack. We're attacked by ISIS from far away, but we're not under attack every day. Think about the differences.
Only from the peaceful protesters.
Yeah, it's all about the love. But
We are absolutely under attack. We're under attack by poor sports, sour grapes, people that can't quite handle what's been going on.
But those poor Israeli
Because they
people are
oppose it,
surrounded
you're never
by
gonna be
enemies.
part of it.
Agreed.
Different perspective.
Well, but that's a different thing. That is a defense mechanism. That's why they institute that one. We need to create the same type of responsibility here because we maybe are not being attacked by enemies from outside, but we are being attacked by enemies from inside. And these enemies from inside is how the countries lose the battle because you have inside cancer, and the Democratic Party is a cancer for this society. And will end destroying the country unless we make a very clear responsibility. You respect the flag. There should be a law that they say you do not disrespect the flag. I don't care why. I saw in television one individual with a Mexican flag covering his body and burning the American flag. I'm telling you, if I see something like that, I will kick his butt, man.
No, kick his burritos right back across the border. See you later.
Exactly.
Doc, something.
But it all goes back to united we stand, divided we fall. Come on, folks.
Exactly. Well, hey, listen, that'll do it for the show. We are out of time. Kimberly, hang up the phone. Enjoy your time in Hawaii. What are you doing? Why are you calling the show? Enjoy yourself.
I'm trying to recover. I was so sick at the thought that Hillary would get in that it just took over. And now that Trump's in, I think I'm starting to feel a little bit better.
A little bit better.
You're seeing a new light.
Yeah.
Like
never
Doc has.
doubt.
In
I
Lanai,
never doubt.
just to let you guys know, in Lanai, they were hit very hard with Obama's economy.
Oh, yeah.
And many of the jobs left this area and went to another island. So I have big hopes that Donald Trump will, get
So why don't you ask how many of those people are Democrats?
Right?
All right,
but
let's
either
not-
way, Democrat, Republican alike, if Trump can do it, they're going to be thrilled.
That's right.
And for everybody listening, we know
And
that
it'll be Trump continued 2020.
Jeff.
For everybody
2030,
listening,
2040.
we know you have a lot of choices on your radio dial, and if you're watching on the stream, we want to thank you. Whether you just tuned in today, you tune in every week, you listen for a few minutes, you listen to the entire hour. We genuinely appreciate and are very thankful that you've tuned into the program. Thank you for listening.
Yep.
God bless you.
We're talking about how envy we are.
Bonati.com.
All right.
They can rid you of all your pain.
That's right.
All
right, Kimberly, we'll talk to you later.
Kimberly, these guys are Democrats. They were talking bad about you, and now they're just kissing you.
She can't hear you. I just hung up on her. Hey, if you have back pain, neck pain, sciatic pain, migraines, give a call to the Bonati Spine Institute, 855-267-0482, 855-267-0482. Visit Bonati.com. We are out of here. Enjoy your weekend.
We'll holler at you.
Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonati created, perfected, and patented the Bonati Spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonati invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonati Spine procedures, they consistently reflect 98.75% patient satisfaction. 50,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Over half our patients have suffered from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonati succeeds where others fail.